So do Empire and Foundation get their champions? Let's talk about Season 2, Episode 3, King and Commoner. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm here to talk to you about Foundation Season 2, Episode 3, King and Commoner, which comes to Apple TV Plus on July 28, 2023. It is the third episode of Foundation. It builds on the last two episodes. It feels like it's still building more and more story, adding some characters, adding some other aspects, but it does feel like we're making some progress. So, my hot take is, look, I think this is still a rental. I didn't love this as much as I was expecting to, although I did like a lot of things about it. I love the new characters that they introduced. It has some new mysteries as well, and the effects and worlds that you visited were pretty decent, but this still feels like we are setting up things to come. We are setting up the characters and the conflicts that will be important in the rest of the season. So overall, I didn't enjoy it as much as I expected to, although I did love these new characters. So I'm going to tell you a little more about the episode, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then go into a really quick recap. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't want to know what happened in this episode, maybe if you haven't seen it yet, I would turn it off when I get to the recap section. Go watch the episode. It's available on Apple TV Plus now, and then come back and hear my thoughts if you want to. So in Foundation Season 2, Episode 3, it follows directly after the big revelation that happened at the end of Episode 2, where Gaal reveals that when she went into the future and saw the mule and saw this big battle that was happening to save humanity, she saw that Salvor was dead. Like, she saw Salvor's corpse on the battlefield. She told Salvor this at the end of Episode 2. Now we are back in Foundation. Gaal and Salvor are kind of processing this, trying to talk about it. That is how this starts, but it quickly goes to other worlds as well. It's Foundation, so you're going to go to a bunch of different worlds, and this one focuses on a character that Empire is bringing into its fold, and a character that Foundation are bringing into the fold, and the continued adventures of Gaal, Salvor, and Harry. Now, will these all converge? Are we setting up a bunch of different things to happen? Well, I think we are, but I will talk about that a little bit later. Now, things I liked about this episode. The first, look, I love the new characters. I love the characters that were introduced. They are fun. They're interesting. They're a little bit kind of wild cards, which is fun to see. I really liked them both. I thought they were both well done. I thought they were both like a little bit more complex than I was expecting. So I'm excited to see where they go in the future. Second thing I really loved, I like the effects in the world. The overall effects have been kind of hit or miss. They were really great in the first episode. They were okay in the second episode. Now I think they were pretty good, and I did like the variety of worlds. This has been kind of something I've liked about this season, especially. It feels like we go to a bunch of different places as we're following these various story threads, and episode 3 was no different. We go to some very unique places, some different kind of realized worlds. We learn about some of these different cultures. It is fun to see. It is fun to kind of like have a new experience every time, and I'm excited to see where the rest of the season goes. And the last thing I like, look, I like the mystery. There are some new characters that are introduced. There are some new answers. But we still have some mysteries. There are some kind of X factors about these new characters, and the episode ends on a new kind of like cliffhanger mystery as well. So I do like that it's keeping us on our toes as we're going through the season. Now, that being said, things I didn't love as much, I've already mentioned it. It feels like we are still setting things up. It feels like we are still learning new characters, learning new plot lines, learning new stories for the eventual later part of this season. I know that's kind of how it works, but I was hoping maybe we'd have a little bit more action at this point, maybe a little bit more kind of substantial interaction. It still feels like we are laying the plot points for the rest of this season. So I imagine that will change at some point. I'm hoping it'll be sooner rather than later, but until then, it feels like we are still kind of coasting along. And the second thing I didn't love as much, I'm gonna call it unnecessary action, especially towards the end. There was a scene where like this, I don't know, big action moment happened where you're like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? It felt completely manufactured. It felt like it was unnecessary. It felt like it didn't really need to be that way. It felt like it was just there to kind of up the drama when it didn't need to. So that being said, Foundation Season 2, Episode 3 is coming to Apple TV Plus on July 28, 2023. If you've gone this far in Foundation, you're going to keep watching. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to go into a quick recap. So if you don't know what happens in this episode, I would turn it off now. So like I said, there are 3 kind of main plot points in this episode. There are the continued adventures of Harry, Gaal, and Salvor. There are the kind of Foundation champion, I guess, and then there is the Empire champion. So first, Harry, Gaal, and Salvor. They go to the deserted desert planet. That was part of the original plan to establish a second Foundation. Harry blames Gaal for not doing that. That was supposed to be like something that she did according to the plan. When she got disillusioned with Harry and his overall plan, she stopped following it, and that means that this second Foundation was not set up. Now, when they get there, we find out that this actually wasn't the planet they were supposed to do. This is a different planet that Harry input, but it is an important one. There is something here that will kind of dictate the future of this kind of conflict and dictate the future of especially Harry. and we get to see what happens. So when we get there, they land, and Harry wants Gaal to take him on a walk, I guess. And take him on a walk into like the mountains. And he said it's only be like half a kilometer, 500 meters, but he needs Gaal to transport him because Harry is still part of like the Prime Radiant. So he is bound to the Prime Radiant. He can project himself around the ship, but he can't move without being like in some vessel. And that vessel is the Prime Radiant if he's going to leave the ship. So he needs Gaal to walk him there. She does. She walks him. It's a little bit farther than he said. He kind of missed the numbers. When we get there, we meet someone that I don't think we've seen in a long time. She looks familiar. I think she's been in earlier seasons. We meet Kali. She is in the cave. Now, she died a while ago, so this is a strange occurrence. She seems to kind of like, she recognizes Gaal. She gets Harry to like transfer himself into this facility that she's in. And then Harry tells Gaal, like, if I'm not back in 6 hours, leave this planet, go. And then the door closes and Gaal is left on her own. Now, Gaal goes back to the ship. Her and Salvor wait. Before this, earlier in the episode, they were kind of talking about the vision that Gaal had. And Gaal tries to like talk to her about it. And Salvor's like, what's the point? Your visions are always right. So Salvor has kind of like accepted that she's going to die. Some of the things that happen in this episode, maybe that is not going to be like a final issue for her. But that's also 150 years in the future. That is way far in advance. We are talking about things that are happening now. So maybe Salvor just figures she's got some time. But after 6 hours, Harry's not back. Gaal, I think, wants to wait a little bit longer, but Salvor's like, what would Harry do if the situation was reversed? And she's like, he would leave. So they get ready to leave. They power the ship up. And when they power the ship up, they like fall through the earth. And this is this kind of like unnecessary action moment I was talking about. They like fall through the ground into a cave. And there are these machines there that used to be like mining machines for this planet. They were autonomous mining machines. They mined this planet for all the resources. When all the resources were gone, they turned on the inhabitants of the planet and killed them as well. So now it seems like they are just kind of chilling until they detect life. But unfortunately, when Gaal and Salvor drop through the world, they detect life. These machines start up. They kind of like try to attack Gaal and Salvor. They're hurrying. They're like, oh my gosh, we got to get the ship up. We got to get the ship up. They get it up. They fly away. So over to Foundation. They have put all their eggs in the basket of Hober Mallow, who is this, apparently he's like a galactic like con man, scoundrel. He feels kind of like a Han Solo-ish person if he was a little bit more greedy. And so they send the clerics out to go find Hober Mallow, to go track him down. They're able to track him down, but he is on this like other strange planet that has this, I don't know, kind of like an emperor kind of thing, and a whole like militant society around the emperor. Hober gets there and he cons the emperor into like using this bracelet that can like switch places with people. So if the emperor wears the bracelet, he wears the bracelet, Hober wears the bracelet. When he activates it, they switch places. And so he shows him this. The emperor is like super excited. He switches them back. And then as soon as he switches them back, Hober's like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to sell this to you. And he is about to leave. It turns out that Hober stole some of the emperor's jewels. And it's not an emperor. He's a commodore. He's Commodore Argo. It turns out that Hober stole some of the commodore's jewels. And so because of that, he gets arrested. He's thrown in prison. And this whole time you're like wondering, like, this is kind of ridiculous because he had this kind of pretty elaborate stunt. And then he just leaves himself open to get thrown into prison. He gets sentenced to execution. On his execution day, the clerics from Foundation show up. They're trying to convince the Commodore to like let him go. The Commodore's like, nope, we're gonna kill him anyways. They have this like elaborate, essentially like punch device where he is like held in place on like a rack looking thing, and a giant spike is about to fall on him. But before it's about to fall, Hober activates that bracelet. It turns out the bracelet was not what was needed. There was this little like cube that I think it was on a glove that the Commodore had like put on. Maybe he's like took it from Hober and put it on. Hober had stashed the like other element in his mouth, so he was able to activate it. He switches with the Commodore before the spike is about to come down. Obviously, the Commodore, who is now tied up, gets upset, tells the people to stop. They stop. They realize it's him, and they see that Hober is now like where the Emperor is, with all the jewels, and he like takes the Emperor's like throne thing and skirts off. Now the clerics are like, this is not good because he knows that they came on the ship. So they run to their ship just as Hober's about to take off. They get to the ship as Hober's leaving. He takes off. The Commodore is none too happy. Some of his troops try to shoot the ship down, but they're not able to. They take off, and Hober now tries to escape again. He's got the jewels, he's got the stuff. Hober tries to escape again, but as he's about to escape, Brother Constant sticks him with that serum that she used on Polly Verisov earlier when she had to cleanse him after he gotten done drinking. Well, turns out that Hober was probably drinking or doing something, because as soon as she sticks him, he starts throwing up as well. So he's not able to escape. He's kind of incapacitated, and we'll see what happens next. But it seems like maybe Foundation has found their champion, the person they are putting their hopes behind, Hober Mallow, who seems to be like a galactic scoundrel. Will it work out? I don't know. We'll find out. Now, on the Empire side, Empire wants Riose, this general that defied Empire years ago. Empire punished him by sending him out into like a prison work camp. Well, now he's going to come back. Empire gets him back, convinces him to kind of help out Empire for his freedom and also for his husband. When Riose was sent to the prison work camp, Empire told him that his husband had been killed. Well, it turns out that wasn't true. His husband had been like forbidden to talk to him, but as part of the punishment, Empire convinced Riose that his husband was dead. So now Riose is going to come back to the fold, help Empire for his own freedom and to be reunited with his husband. I really liked Riose's character. He's interesting. He's like defiant of Empire, but he also seems to be kind of like a good soldier. I don't think he likes Brother Day, but he recognizes that Brother Day is like his commander and he's going to do his duty. He's an interesting character. I liked him a lot. I thought he had like a bunch of different layers. I thought at first he was just this like defiant person, but as he kind of gets back into the military fold, as he gets his ship back, he seems to appreciate like, it seems like his character appreciates like what his position stood for and like where his kind of he fits in with the rest of Empire. And he also seems to be doing this for the people. He knows that Empire doesn't care about the people and will sacrifice them to save himself. And so Bell seems to also be doing this for the people, because as he says, when there's a weak Empire, you need a strong general. And so Bell seems to have like very different influences, very kind of like a mix of different emotions. I really liked him a lot, and I'm excited to see where he goes. So now Empire also has their champion. They've got two champions here. We'll see what happens with them. And back to Salvor and Gaal, who have just escaped from these machines. They escape, but as they're escaping, they scan and notice that there is now some other life on this planet as well. And before, this planet was barren. There was no life at all. Now they discover some life, and they see Harry passed out on this like giant statue. So they have to go save him, because look, these machines are here too. So they head to the statue. They try to get him. Gaal like straps on a cable, gets on there, tries to get him off. As they're doing this, the machines are like lasering the statue arm that Harry is on. It's a race to see who will get it, but Gaal is able to get Harry off of the statue and into the ship. And after Gaal gets Harry into the ship, he is alive. Like when she sees him, he has a pulse. Which, remember, Harry is like, the previous Harry we knew was a kind of a download of his consciousness into the Prime Radiant. So it was like an AI copy of who he was. This is different. This is a body. This is a body with a pulse. This is a living body. How did this happen? Well, we don't know. And Harry doesn't know either. Harry wakes up and Gale's like, you have a body. How is that possible? And Harry says, I don't know. So either Harry's being facetious, which sometimes is, or something is happening and that is not kind of according to his plan, because Harry should know kind of like all the main things that are happening. This seems like it's different. This seems like it's unique. Maybe there's some new wrenches being thrown in the plan. I don't know. We'll have to wait until the next episode to find out. What's going to happen next? Well, for some reason, Harry now has a body, which is interesting. It means he is a person, which means apparently probably he can die. He's no longer this immortal like consciousness. He is now like reborn again, which is, I think, part of the prophecy, right? When the vault was supposed to open, Harry Seldon was supposed to come out. Well, now maybe Harry Seldon can come out from that vault. I don't know what this means. It's interesting that Harry is now a living person. Maybe that will like change some of his like cold calculations that he had. But I don't think so, because when he was living before, he still was like fully devoted to the plan. But it is interesting that Harry didn't know why he had a body, because that means that the plan that he has didn't anticipate this, or he didn't calculate this. So maybe there is another factor in here that is changing the plan, causing new stress points, changing up the calculation. It'll be interesting to see where this kind of push and pull happens. And it makes me wonder, like, if Harry can come back from the dead by downloading his consciousness and then creating a new body, maybe that can happen. You know, maybe Salvor, who's dying later, maybe that's only like a copy of her. Maybe they are able to kind of like clone people, similar to how Empire does it, and do it. And maybe now this is going to be a more common thing. I don't know. We'll see. Also, I do like the two champions. I like how very different they are, and I'm curious to see how they're going to interact. I don't think they're going to like fight, but I think they're going to kind of rally and influence their respective nations, I guess, to rise up and resist. I think that'll be interesting. And I also thought it was interesting. I don't know. I'll have to go back and double check this, but it felt like Riose, his character, his like accent, kind of sounded similar to the mule. I wonder if like Riose and the mule will be similar, because Riose was defiant. Riose wanted to like serve the Empire, and it seems like the mule was like trying to put down an uprising. So I wonder if Riose will eventually become the mule. I don't know. It's just kind of a random thought I had when I was like thinking about this episode. We'll see what happens, but we'll have to at least wait till next week. But that was Foundation Season 2, Episode 3, King and Commoner. It comes to Apple TV Plus on July 28, 2023. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what I got right. Let me know what I got wrong. I really enjoy the conversations that we've been having. It's really fun to kind of like hear people who have read the books and are like disappointed in how Foundation is going, people that have not read the books that are maybe excited, maybe also disappointed. It's fun to kind of hear the various takes and hear some of the things that are happening and hear some of the observations that you all have. So thanks so much for watching and commenting. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.